Hello, and thanks for clicking on this video. I want to take a minute to tell you the reason why I created this playlist on the book of John. I have a dear friend of mine that lives about 1,000 miles away, and he expressed some interest in the things of God, and I wanted to walk him through the book of John. But of course, because he's so far away, I couldn't do that by meeting with him and just kind of being side by side over coffee or whatever it might be. So I came up with this idea that, the first idea was that I would send him a commentary on the book of John. There are a lot of commentaries written on the Bible and parts of the Bible and so on. But when I looked at them, most of them really kind of assume that the reader knows something about the Bible. There's something familiar there, some things they've heard in the past or when they were being raised or whatever it might be. And I didn't think that was going to work for my friend because he had no familiarity with the Bible. So I decided to go ahead and try to do a commentary on my own, just kind of very basic, straightforward, not try to cover everything that's in this book, but just the major points and just try to explain what the Lord Jesus is all about. Each video that I'm doing is probably somewhere between 5 minutes, 10 minutes long, maybe some of them 12 minutes long. So it's in bite-sized pieces. And probably by the time I get done, if I actually do the entire book, we're probably looking at about 100 small videos. So I hope you'll stick with me. I don't know who you are. I don't know where you live, where you're from. I don't know what you know. But there is one thing I do know. I want my friend and I want you to know who this person Jesus is. What Jesus means to me, what Jesus has done for me, what Jesus has promised me, and the joy I get from knowing him, having a relationship with him, and looking forward to each day. So I would love that to be for you as well. So let's start out. What is the book of John? It's actually not a book. We call it a book because it's in the Bible. It's part of 66 books in the Bible, but it really is a letter that he wrote to the churches in the area. And John is a close associate of Jesus Christ. He's what we would call a disciple or a follower, a true follower. And he wrote this about 85 years after the death of Jesus. And who is Jesus? That's what this is all about. Who is he? What did he say? Who did he claim to be? What did he do? We will get all of that as we move through this letter. This letter is in chapters, in verses, and there's really nothing special to know about that. I'm going to try to avoid citing specific chapter and verse numbers. We'll just be looking at the passage that we're looking at in each particular episode, so we don't have to go elsewhere. But there's nothing special about that anyway. It's just a way, think of it as an index, let's say, to move around the Bible and to point to specific areas in the Bible. So we're going to start today in chapter 1 and just go through the first 5 verses, verses 1 through 5. And here's what it says. It says, "In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was in the beginning with God. All things were made through him, and without him was not anything made that was made. In him was life, and the life was the light of men. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it." So right from the very first 5 verses, there's a lot of questions to answer. It's a lot to digest. So I'm going to try to break it apart a little bit again, not make it complicated. And then by the time we're done, we'll try to pull it back together and come away with some important thoughts about Jesus and what he is doing in this book. So the first verse, "In the beginning was the Word." So right away we're saying, what is this word? So this word is not a what, it's a who. The word is one of the names we find given to Jesus in the Bible, and it has a specific meaning. Think about it. Words educate us. Words help us understand. Words create pictures in our minds. They help us connect thoughts and shape our view of the world. So in this case, Jesus is the one who will explain who he is, where he came from, his purpose here on earth, and the condition of people like you and me. In calling Jesus the Word, if you think about it in that way, it really was a perfect choice. The next verse, the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was in the beginning with God. All things were made through him, and without him was not anything made that was made. So one of the things that John is proclaiming is that Jesus was not only a man and lived on this earth for about 33 years, but he's also God. Okay, here we go again. Right away, your head's starting to spin. You're wondering, how can Jesus be a man and God at the same time? Let's not worry about that for today too much. We're going to get there in the verses and chapters that follow. For now, let's understand what John is saying. He's essentially saying the same thing in three ways. He's saying that Jesus was in the presence of God, his Father, that Jesus has the same attributes of God, and that Jesus participated in the creation of the universe. So you may not appreciate the massive importance of this fact that Jesus is God right now, but you will by the time we get to the end of this amazing letter from John. The next verse, in him was life, still talking about Jesus, and the life was the light of men. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. So do you ever wonder if there is any reason for your life? Are you beaten down by the burdens that we all have in the world? Or are you desperate for answers? Well, this is what John is talking about when he says that in him, Jesus, was life and light. Life is what we need to escape the effect of evil in this world, and light is a metaphor for truth. In this world, we experience the selfish and hateful actions of men and women, our own behavioral and emotional failings, suffering, pain, and death. There's still some beauty in the world, but often we experience the world as a very dark place. And the thing about the truth and light that Jesus brings is, no matter how dark this world is, the truth and light of Jesus cannot and will never be extinguished. Sure, there's many people who reject the truths that we're going to dive into here in this letter, but their rejection doesn't diminish his light or the truth. So let's wrap it up for today. Jesus Christ is the God of the entire universe, yet he chose to come into our world as a person just like us. Why? Two reasons. He came to bring light, and he came to bring truth, so we can experience freedom from the burdens that we all carry, as he did because of his great love for us. Much more on that later. Many people reject what he has to say, so I'm asking you to pray a simple prayer to God as we finish this up. God, will you show me the truth in this letter that John wrote? That's all. Thanks for listening in. Hope to see you next time.